Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this morning episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm down here at Barangaroo. It's very early. I start at 6:30, and as you can see, the ferries are just commencing their first run for the day. It's overcast, it's springtime, and it looks like it's going to be another wet day here in Sydney town. Anyway, what I'd like to do today is continue the tradition of Jim's 5am Club and go through a book summary. And today's book summary is an absolute cracker. And the book summary is entitled How to Be a Bawse. How to Be a Bawse by an author, a female author, known as Lilly Singh. I've never heard of this term before, in terms of what it is and what it means. So we'll go through this book summary and see what we can extract, see what we can learn, and see how we can use it in our daily lives to help leverage our positive experiences and learn a little bit more about what makes us tick and what makes the world go round. As you can see, I'm down here at Barangaroo, just beneath the Crown Casino, and just next door there are a number of new buildings going up. So all of these buildings here have been built by Lend-Lease, and the Crown Casino building is considered to be one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. It just absolutely amazes me how this part of Sydney has been transformed over the past decade, and how it will continue to transform, because one of the projects that I'm working on at the moment is the Barangaroo train station, or metro station, which is going to link up a number of metro stations across Sydney and the northern parts of Sydney, and it's going to transform this part of the world and get it up there and continue to keep it up there amongst the best cities in the world. So the author here, Lilly Singh, she's vibrant, she's young, she's beautiful, she's energetic, and she's got a message to share with the world. And one of the first and most profound statements that she makes, one of these observations, these profound observations, is that we need to think of discomfort as a currency. So hear me out, because this is pretty important and very key to what we have to learn today. We need to view, as the author says, discomfort as a currency, because it is the price that we need to pay in order to learn some pretty crucial things in our life. And if you're not prepared to pay the price, then guess what? You're not going to develop, grow, and become a person who can leverage these lessons in order to get to the next stage, to the next level in one's life. So think of discomfort as a currency is the key message, and it's the price that you need to pay in order to learn, in order to progress, and in order to move into the direction that you need to go in. And as a number of other authors suggest, we always need to live with positive expectancy, but we also need to lean just outside of our comfort zone in order to keep on growing and developing, and to be experimenting and experiencing more in life Because if you don't push yourself, if you don't test yourself, if you don't do something which is uncomfortable, then you're going to be lazy and you're just going to stick to the things that you know, with the people that you know, and you're not going to discover the things that we're invited to discover in our lives. You know, we're given a gift of life, 70 for most of us. Some people will live longer, some will live less. But with that time allotment, we also have a duty, a responsibility to make the most of our time and to use it in a way which is going to serve God and also serve our neighbours. And by serving God and serving our neighbours, we too may get some benefit and reward along the way. So the first formal point to come from this author in this book is that before you try to achieve the ultimate success you've been dreaming of, we need to learn to first become self-aware. So this key message to come from this author is this self-awareness is critical to one's growth and development. To become aware of your limitations, to become aware of your skills, your strengths, but it's all about self-awareness. And it makes sense that we need to understand ourselves first, conquer ourselves first, before we can go on to understand others and to help influence others around us. So self-awareness is a key message that comes from this author. It's just starting to sprinkle at the moment, so what I'll do is I'll just try and find a place for me to continue my book summary just out of the elements. So just bear with me, I won't be long. So what the author here is suggesting, and we all need to take heed of this suggestion, is that we need to nurture, build and maintain a meaningful, a deep, a purposeful relationship with ourselves, and to become more self-centered, and basically save ourselves first. So I'll just go over here to this beautiful building and just get under that cover there. It's not pouring down, but it's just starting to spit, so better be safe than sorry. So as I said, this whole area here of Sydney is transforming before our very, very eyes. Here we go, so I'm under cover now, so a little bit more comfortable. So as the author here suggests, we need to basically save ourselves first, just like when you're in an aircraft and doing the safety session early in, the people there will always tell you, put the mask on you first before you place your mask over your children. And it's along the line of what this author is saying, that we need to take care, we need to nurture, we need to protect ourselves first in order to be able to protect and help others. I remember working back in the 80s and 90s, and my manager back then, Greg Gleason at IBM, a very senior manager, a very learned person, a great leader, would always tell me to invest in myself, because he said, James, if you don't look after yourself, nobody else will. So you need to invest in yourself first, you need to protect yourself, you need to grow and develop in order to be an asset and a person of substance, to be able to also help your family, your friends, your work peers. And one of the key goals within a corporate environment is to build your skills so that you too can have a team surround you. But you need to be the strongest, or one of the strongest in the team in terms of your network, your skills and your capabilities, as we said, in order to be able to help the team grow and develop and to function under all the stresses and pressures that people work in and live in a corporate sphere. Anyway, I'll just stand under the tree here for now and see how we go. So the author here talks about becoming self-centered and to save ourselves first. But she talks about here the 3 layers that we need to go through in order to reach the root cause of our problems. Once again, a valuable lesson to at least give us the thought processes to understand that, to understand and to get to the root cause, we need to go through a number of layers, which is interesting. So, as we know, life is complex, it's complicated, and in order to understand ourselves, in order to understand others, the author says it's not an easy sort of straight path, I guess is the way to best describe it. You need to go through layers, and there are first, second and third level consequences that lead people to the way they behave, the way they act, the way they think. And it's not as straightforward and as easy as people think. But let's go through these layers here and try and understand them a little bit better and see where they lead us. But the author here says that layer 1 is the pretext you use to cover your problem when dealing with other people. We all seem to live with various masks, and we all try to, cope and deal with the challenges that we face on a daily basis. But sometimes we kid ourselves because we try and hide the problems, we try and sweep them under the carpet. And the first layer is the pretext we use to cover our problem when dealing with other people. I know that growing up in a migrant family, we Greeks would always say, "Τι θα πει ο κόσμος?" What are you doing and what is everybody going to say? And once again, that would be one of the pretexts of covering one's problem, worrying about what other people say. But I went to a movie the other night called Ευτυχία, and somebody said, "Τι θα πει ο κόσμος? What is everybody else going to say?" And Ευτυχία says, well, nobody's going to say anything because nobody's ever here. Everybody's just looking after their own lives. So don't worry about what other people say, because at the end of the day, they're not in our lives anyway. And if they are, they'll either be loving, and if they're not loving, then they don't deserve to be in your life in the first place. So the second layer, according to this author, talks about the excuses that one uses that prevents us from reaching our dreams. Now, we all come up with excuses all the time. We're not good enough, we don't have enough time, I've got other things to do, I'm busy, I'm working, I'm tired. There's a whole stack of excuses, whole list of excuses that people come up with that impact their path and distract them and keep them from achieving the dreams and the life that they want to live. So that's considered to be a layer that we need to get through in order to achieve the dreams that I guess we all deserve in our lives. The third layer are the lies that we live with, the lies that we surround ourselves with, the lies that we have that keep us back from achieving the things that we need to achieve. And what the author here says is, in order to reveal those lies, sometimes what we need to do is to shout it out loudly, because the excuses that we have and the lies that we live, if you say them out loud, you're able to then reveal to yourself how foolish and how limiting and how silly those things actually sound. Because what the author says here is that a lie will make sense when you say it out loud. You'll be able to see through the BS when you say it out loud, but when you keep it silent, when you talk it quietly and whisper it in your mind, it becomes a fear. But when you call it out loud, then what you do is you call it out for what it really is. So the author then says that there is a fourth hidden layer that influences and impacts the way people behave and who they are when they've got their masks on, and it's the past traumas that one has accumulated through the many years of their lives, especially during those childhood years when we live with irrational fears, and those irrational fears, if not addressed properly, end up becoming real fears that hold people back throughout their developing years, because these past traumas become triggers. They trigger negative emotions, negative feelings. They trigger other fears, and they cause tremendous problems and grief to people throughout their lives. Because at the end of the day, one of the key lessons that we all can learn in our lives is that over 85% of the fears that people have will never ever materialize. It's all bullshit. The trick is, of course, trying to identify, what those 15% or 10% or 5% of fears that are actually real. But if you're sitting and worrying about everything you do, thinking that it's going to have a negative outcome and a negative consequence, then you're going to be living in fear, and you're going to be living in procrastination, and you're never going to be doing anything. Because you're going to not want to do anything for fear of a negative consequence materializing. But what the author here is encouraging us to do, so the big call to action from this author in this book, is to try and shake off those fears that hold us back, and not only shake off the fears, but also shake off the people who are the source and triggers of many of those fears. The naysayers, the negative people, the people who hold us back in our lives, the people who hold the key to the prisons that we end up locking ourselves in. So once again, a powerful message, a powerful lesson coming from this author to shake off those people and those fears that are robbing us of our dreams. Because what the author here tells us is that clarity is potential power. We all know this. Clarity is potential power. But to get actual power, you need to take action, because that's where the real power is. So clarity is potential power, action is real power. So the next point that the author makes, the next formal point to come from this book, is that every great dream starts with a vision. Every great dream starts with a vision and continues with a well-trained mind for success. So what we need to do, according to this author, is to visualize and to have goals and to have objectives and to imagine all of those things that we want to achieve down to the last detail, to add colour, to add detail, to add texture, to add smell, to add sound, all of those things you can do. So the more clearly you can see your dream, the greater the chance of you to experience it in all of its glory. So just do it. Set goals, break them into smaller objectives, and we need to articulate them and actualize them, and to avoid procrastination and distraction. We need to be doing what those people out there are doing, to be in their boats, to be rowing, regardless of the weather. They could have woken up this morning and said, oh, it's going to be raining, it's going to be windy, it's going to be cold, it's going to be whatever. But instead, they all got up as a team, just like we need to put together and get together our senses and coordinate them and collaborate them, so that we too can live our dreams and live our goals and not be stuck in a rut through procrastination and distraction. And the way you do it, according to the author, is that you need to set a deadline, you need to set a time frame, and we need to have a starter's gun. We need a coxswain, a person to guide us. We need to be able to count backwards. 3, 2, 1, do it. And also add to it reward. So the guys down here are preparing, I guess, for a race at some point in time. So they'll go on their morning rows, so they get into the rhythm. They do the hard work in the gym, and they prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, both individually and as a team. And most importantly, by having the coxswain in the boat there, they've got a game plan, they have a sequence in terms of what they do and how they go through it, and they eliminate, where possible, all of the distractions in their lives. So the last point to come out of this book from this author is where he talks about, or she talks about, the importance of time and circle. You need to surround yourself with constructive people, people who are excited about life, people who are living with positive expectancy, people who are doers, who want to do things rather than do nothing. Because procrastination and hanging out with the wrong people is a formula for failure. We've got to understand one thing, that in life, time, money and people are a valuable asset. Other people's time, other people's money, and other people's experience, all of those things are valuable assets that we can use to leverage our lives in order to get a greater and a more enhanced experience. I think that's a female crew down there, believe it or not. So there you go. So the bottom line, as the author says, the last few points that come from this book summary is, wherever possible, to live with purpose, to live with positive expectancy, and most importantly, to be a doer, to take action, just like that crew out there is taking action, doing it one after the other in a coordinated sense, to be flexible in your approach, but rigid in your goals and rigid in what you want to achieve. So thank you very much everybody for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As I said, I'm down here at Barangaroo at the foot of one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. This casino building is absolutely magnificent. An artwork. And well done to Lend-Lease for building one of these great monuments to good taste. So take care, we'll chat again. I'm about to start work in about 5 or 10 minutes, and I look forward to coming to you again from a different place, from a different location, with a different message of empowerment. Anyway, take care everybody, bye for now, and we'll chat again. Yassas.